Hello, everyone. I'm Misty Lee. So, this is chapter 4 in the Science of Getting Rich. This is probably the most important chapter because it provides the backbone for the rest of the book. An entire semester's worth of content could be written on each chapter alone. So, what I'm attempting to do in these summaries is provide the most useful and relevant data and also giving my thoughts along the way. So this is the first sentence, which can be a little bit difficult to understand at first, but according to Waddles, we live in a thought world, which is part of a thought universe. All things were created from thought. If you're familiar with the Bible, excuse me, then you know the story of God speaking our universe into existence. So this thinking stuff the world is made of took the form of systems of planets and continues to maintain that form. So thoughts are things and can actually be measured. It's hard for us to internalize this and understand it because sometimes we believe because we can't see our thoughts. It's difficult to believe that thoughts are things. But you cannot secretly think things in your head without them going into the universe. I'm far from psychic, but over time, I have been able to pick up more and more on people's thoughts. And it's a really cool thing when you start getting there and you just start getting more intuitive overall. But anyway, so this statement is powerful because it applies to everything in your life and not just with acquiring money. The thoughts you think can impact your relationships, with your significant other, your children. So again, very powerful. Definitely give this some thought. So this idea has been powerful for me because it's made me realize that there are some things that are just going to take time to develop. This key sentence is, move according to the lines of motion it has established. I've interpreted this in my life related to my finances. For years and years, I had terrible credit and lacked in financial skills. I realize it's going to take time to change the direction of the line of motion that's been established. So for me, this has been a deep history of living paycheck to paycheck and not being organized with my finances. So second, this ties in. I know these habits were also the reasons for wealth and opportunities not coming my way. Even in financial books I've read, they emphasize the importance of being organized and good with money. It is all intertwined. Your thoughts, original substance, and money is energy. If your thoughts and habits are organized with money and financial planning, then these are the thoughts that are being sent to the universe. And money as a manifested form will go, no way in heck am I sending money your way. So as I mentioned before, if you fear numbers or even looking at your bills, you need to change your mindset. You must not ignore your financial responsibilities. The entire basis for this book is about doing things in a certain way. This actually comes down to thinking in a certain way. This is why this is the first principle in getting rich, is to believe that all there is, that there is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and in its original state will permeate, penetrate, and fill the inner space of the universe. A thought in the substance produces the thing imaged by the thought. Real quick example how this has happened in my life. At some point I'm going to do an entire video on this, but over a year and a half ago is when I decided to exit the matrix. For me, this was my full-time 9-to-5 boring corporate job. I held the thought of being able to take my kids to school when it started and not daycare at 6 a.m. I held in my thoughts a 5-second commute to my office instead of a 2 to 3 hour commute. I'm now part-time as a business coach and a tourist guide for several companies, as well as owning my own adventure company. And just as a side note, some of you might be thinking, you left a corporate job and now you like being a business coach? Yes, because I'm helping people start their own business, which usually means it's their passion, which is amazing, and I absolutely love it. And it hasn't always been easy. And I'm not on here to pretend that I'm already a millionaire. It's fun kind of starting with those of you that have been watching my videos and seeing that I'm doing this as I go along as well. But for me, I spend way more time with my kids now and can actually volunteer. And that's been huge. And I held that thought in my head. And now again working towards my own adventure company. So I'm it hasn't always been easy, but I'm now making the same amount of money as I was before. Now I'm not advocating to jump ship, especially if you don't have savings. But I want to give you a solid example of how you uh, can make things happen when you apply your thoughts in a certain way. You'll never get out of your rat race, out of that matrix that you're in. Especially if you're commuting now, I'm sorry because it sucks, and I know how that is. But if you don't start thinking in a certain way, if you don't even believe there's hope for another position, guess what? It's not going to happen. All right, and then finally, so you might have a serious amount of credit card debt, maybe a car that breaks down all the time, and barely enough money to cover the bills. But if you focus on your debt, you're going to remain in debt. You need to think the truth, which there is only abundance. I know it's a catch-22 and can be a difficult cycle to get out of. Here's a practical application. Next time you start thinking about money and start reflecting on all the bills you owe on, and then maybe start thinking about claiming bankruptcy, stop yourself right there and ask a new question. What value can I provide for people that would bring in additional income? How can I make more money? Start those new lines of motion and start thinking this way. Believe it or not, even the minds of other people in business will be directed your way. This is how I became a tour guide and a business coach. So thinking truth and thinking in a certain way is going to be very powerful for your journey to wealth and abundance. I'm thankful and grateful for all of you who have subscribed. I have fun making these because I know how much value they are for you. I encourage you to actually buy the book though, The Science of Getting Rich. I know you'll be hooked. You'll probably reread it as many times as I have. But as always, thank you so much for watching and have an amazing day.